something has to be done about the court. We've gone through other periods of time where the court was out of control. Go read the Lincoln-Douglas debates, and they're all about the court and what the court had done in Dred Scott.
These are issues that most Americans agree on. Most Americans are against partisan gerrymandering. Most Americans believe that we should have fair representation. The Supreme Court is another example of an area where most Americans agree. Most Americans agree that the highest court in the land should not have the lowest of ethics laws, and that billionaires can routinely shower Supreme Court justices with gifts from mobile homes to fancy expensive vacations. We all know that's wrong. In addition, most Americans agree that Supreme Court justices shouldn't sit on those benches until they're so ailing, just hoping they can hold on, well past perhaps even senility, until their president lines up with their jurisprudence philosophies and they can leave the bench. That's why term limits are a good thing as well. We have to think hard about how we're going to reform the court and bring it back into alignment, especially because they're continuing to do things like we saw last week, eviscerate years and years and years of progress and throw us back to those dark years where so many people were successfully suppressing the votes of minority groups throughout the South.
So the Pillsbury Doughboy starts off this absurd exchange by asserting his belief that something has to be done about the Supreme Court. He says the court's been, as he puts it, out of control in the past, and cites the 1857 Dred Scott decision. He had to go back almost 170 years to find an example of an inappropriate decision they'd rendered, but he insists the court's out of control. And then Spartacus chimes in and says most Americans are against partisan gerrymandering and in favor of fair representation. Well, yeah, Corey, but there's one obstacle standing in the way of all that, and it's your party, the Democrat Party. Booker goes on to insinuate that our Supreme Court justices have been bought and paid for by partisan billionaires, without citing any evidence to support his claim. Then he goes on to suggest that the justices should term out and should have a mandatory retirement age so we don't have senile justices. Maybe I missed it, but I don't remember him complaining when Darth Vader Ginsburg died on the bench at 87, about 25 years past the typical age of retirement in America. He was also okay with our chief executive officer being the quite obviously senile commander and thief when crooked Joe Biden. I guess he doesn't consider that position to be important. Nor would he seem to deem important the congressional seats held by Democrats who are or were well past their prime. Unless I forget, Booker voted to confirm Justice Jackson. You remember her. She's the one who couldn't define the word woman. So being old is a problem, but not knowing the difference between a boy and a girl, that's not a problem. But the reality is Booker's just frustrated because his side is losing.
When is it going to be enough? My voice is inadequate.
And for decades now, Democrats have taken purple states like New Hampshire, Connecticut, and Massachusetts, to name a few, and gerrymandered them into blue states. It may be the case that there aren't any actual blue states, just blue cities telling the rest of us how to live. But that's all being threatened now. So BS Now's chubby host and Mr. Potato Head come on TV and sound the alarm. It's racism. The black vote is being suppressed. Except the black vote isn't being suppressed. Most blacks currently in office are only there because whites also voted for them. And you can't show me a single black person who was denied their right to vote in the last 60 years. So shut the hell up and let's see some more memes.
Why? Because meth rots your teeth. You can't succeed without teeth. So there needs to be comprehensive health care provided to people.
At this point, there isn't a street in downtown LA where I could take a visiting relative and convince them that there are parts of this city that aren't really all that bad. The entire city is a dystopian hellhole. All of it. There are literally thousands of homeless degenerates living in open squalor on the city's sidewalks. Drug use is out of control. Gangs run pretty much everything. Almost all the businesses have left, and ubiquitous, boarded-up windows tell the tale of a city which has fallen into third-world living conditions. The rest of the city outside the downtown area isn't much better. It's on fire for most of the year. And what's Mayor Bass worried about? Meth heads losing their teeth. The taxpayers need to replace Crystal Methany's teeth. That's what's keeping her from having a good life, you see. Supposedly, Bass is polling well ahead of Spencer Pratt. He's the Republican challenger for her job. And Bass will probably get reelected. You know, it's kind of strange, really. I mean, the top 3 cities in America, New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago, all have absolutely terrible mayors who are all naked communists. You don't suppose that cities so profoundly and so obviously corrupt could have any election integrity issues that might account for all this, do you? No, I'm sure it can't be that.
I've become friends with school shooters.
This attempt to indict James Comey by Bondi, now by the man who says, I love you publicly to Donald Trump, is something we have never seen anything like it before. And Todd Blanche doesn't seem to think that there's anything embarrassing about his total public humiliation on this.
Maybe that's because he hasn't actually been humiliated.
Well, he's playing to an audience of one.
Yeah, 1/2 of the country.
And in normal times, this proposition would seem completely absurd and preposterous. I mean, how many people took pictures of that particular seashell display on the beach? Are all of them guilty of making threats on the life of the president?
James Comey isn't just some guy who took pictures of seashells on the beach that spelled out 8647. James Comey is a public figure, a former director of the FBI, and he's the guy who arranged the seashells. He didn't just happen upon them as he claimed. Comey, at the time, claimed to be walking on the beach with his wife in preparation for the release of his book. Now, how does a walk on the beach prepare you for the release of a book? Glad you asked. Comey wrote a novel about a far-right podcaster whose First Amendment protected speech incited people to acts of political violence. This was the premise of the book that was about to be released when Comey just happened to see 8647 spelled out in seashells on his book release prep beach walk. And he claimed he didn't know what it meant. But he took a picture of it and posted it on Instagram because that's what people do when they see a reference that goes over their head. They post it to social media. This was a dog whistle to the lunatic fringe of the left, and they responded to it. So Comey prepared for the release of his book about political violence being inspired by protected speech by using what he now hopes the courts will find protected speech to promote the political violence that he himself would love to read about in the news. Comey is a liar liar and a traitor and an all-around scumbag. And now he stands accused of some fairly serious crimes. Will he be convicted? I doubt it, but if nothing else, at least he has to go through the stressful process of defending himself. But let's face it, as long as there isn't any real accountability on the part of our societal elites, this kind of thing will continue unabated.
I mean, how many people took pictures of that particular seashell display on the beach? Are all of them guilty of threats on the life of the president?
Bruh.